I think the competition aspect, I like how, even though there's many huge logistics companies and they've got much more infrastructure than us, they may have thousands of warehouses and they may have, much bigger team, but we can still compete, bid and win. Customer service, and it's just the care that a family business gives that corporate companies tend to lose over time.
Today's episode is brought to you in partnership with SAL, one of the world's leading carriers in the maritime transport of heavy lift and project cargo. SAL operates one of the most advanced fleets in the sector, with service speeds of up to 20 knots, dynamic positioning, fly jib capability, ice-class vessels, vast open deck space, and combined crane capacity reaching 2,000 tons. Together with SAL Intermarine, they operate around 80 multi-purpose and ultra-heavy lift vessels, supported by a global team of more than 1,200 people and 27 offices in 23 countries. Part of the Harran Group, SAL is known for quality, technical innovation, and a strong commitment to safety and environmental performance, including its latest Orca-class new build program, setting new benchmarks for green technologies. And through the JSI Alliance, customers can access a combined fleet of around 90 heavy lift, multi-purpose, and offshore vessels, further strengthening their global capability. Find out more via the link in the description below. It's Project Cargo Professionals. We're back with another series. Now, Voices of Breakbulk Middle East, and we're here in the Hive studio. So thanks for Breakbulk for their support. And we are with Adi from Bluebell Shipping. Thanks for coming in, Adi.
Thanks for having me, Luke. And the studio is beautiful.
It's a really great studio, great studio.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk to you, and I think people are going to be interested to hear because your company's grown quite a lot in the last few years.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the company.
So Bluebell Shipping was started by my father in 1987. So it's about 37 years old, older than I am. I joined about a couple of years ago. The company specializes in project logistics, out of gauge stuff, mostly oil and gas originally. And nowadays we do a lot more mining, renewables, infrastructure type stuff. Our head office is in the UAE. It's in Dubai. That's where we first started. And now we've got 15 offices around the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Australia, a few other places, and hoping to keep going, really. Yeah.
So how come we're talking to you and not your dad?
So as you can imagine, my dad's quite busy, but the primary reason is India is playing against Australia in the cricket today. And he's got to prioritize, obviously, so that's why.
So you've grown quite a lot in the last few years specifically, right? You've added a lot of offices.
Yeah.
How were you able to go from a smaller player to a bigger player in the project logistics sector?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of luck at play as well, but a lot of different things compounded. I think in the previous company I was working for, Transglobal Projects, a great company also, my main skill set was sort of bidding, and they were also going through a big period of growth. So I was able to see them expand into many different, offices and countries. And my skill set then translated very well to Bluebell when I came over, because our team was already very good, very price driven and delivering a good service with a good reputation. It's already been 30 years. So we were able to scale together, I guess, in that sense. Yeah.
And was there like a big project or a turning point that really set you on the growth path?
Yeah, quite a few, actually. Probably the two that spring to mind is a couple of years ago, we did the Khormor 250 gas plant in North Iraq. And that was, a lot of challenges because it's in Iraq and there were some security concerns at the time and not a lot of other companies wanted to do it, but we managed to pull it off. Big EPC stuff, a lot of out of gauge cargo. And yeah, really that was the first. Other than that, we did a big project in Kazakhstan recently, which was 54 aircraft charters. That was a big deal. A bunch of Boeing 747s, nose loaders, and AN-124s as well, IL-76s. Yeah.
Nice. So what do you think is the key to growing a projects company?
I mean, I'd say there's a lot. Again, cash flow, in my experience, that's one of the challenges. You can have the best bid team, the best operations, the best customer service, but if you can't afford to hold the debt that these big projects bring, then there's a limit to how much you can scale, right?
And you don't always get paid very quickly.
Exactly. Even if you win a massive project and you're able to somehow service that debt, it means that you're now sacrificing other projects that you could be chasing and winning at the same time, and other markets that you now don't have resources to expand in anymore, right? Yeah.
And I read an article where you spoke about some ups and downs. So why don't you tell us a bit about those?
I mean, the usual stuff, really. Opening all these offices is although it looks very good, it's also been extremely stressful. There's been a lot of travel, and you don't always get everything right, you know. The model that I have found to work now, in hindsight, after doing it, is that I feel like you need to find one person in the country that you already kind of trust, you know, you're willing to back and support. And then
This is a country manager.
yeah, a country manager or a city manager, someone who you really believe in. And even then, you could still get it wrong. It's your own belief, right, at the end of the day. And then you build a team around them and you kind of invest in them. And even if it takes longer, I mean, it kind of always takes longer than you expect it to take. You know, I think, oh, in 1 year we'll be profitable, might take 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what excites you about the business?
I think the competition aspect, like, I like how, you know, even though there's many huge logistics companies and they've got much more infrastructure than us, they may have thousands of warehouses and they may have, you know, much bigger team, but we can still compete, bid and win because, you know, if you can deliver a good service and you can create a good brand, people will come to you.
What's your selling point then as a smaller company?
As a smaller company, I'd say, again, it's customer service and it's just the care that a family business gives, you know, that corporate companies tend to lose over time. Yeah.
And you guys are in some really interesting markets, Iraq, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, you mentioned. Tell us about your strategy there. Is that deliberate? Is there less competition there, or why do you go to those markets?
Yeah, I would say that's primarily it, really. Places like Iraq and stuff, you're not really competing with the major forwarders in the sense that they don't have much infrastructure in Iraq either. So it's more of a level playing field, you know, but if you're trying to compete in, let's say, Hamburg, it's not really the same, right? Same with these other countries, Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, they have their own challenges and bigger companies are there too. But the more challenging it is, the more opportunity there is for a logistics company to add value. In Iraq, there's elements of like security. There's also elements of like, they don't have too much local manufacturing because, you know, they're still recovering from the war and stuff. So as a consequence, everything kind of has to come from outside, right? And then you see neighboring places like Dubai and Turkey, they have a lot of industry and we happen to have offices there. So it's very easy to service Iraq in that sense.
Yeah, talk a bit about Iraq now. What's the security situation like there?
I'd say it's pretty safe. Like, it's one of my favorite places to visit.
You told me you're going.
Yeah,
Suddenly.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I plan to take my wife on holiday to Erbil one day. I really enjoy it as a place.
Erbil's northern Iraq,
yeah,
right?
Northern Iraq, exactly. And yeah, it's interesting. Iraq is going through a really interesting period right now because for the last 2 years, the North Iraq pipeline was closed as the two governments, the Kurdish and the regional government, were negotiating. A month ago, they finally reached a deal after 2.5 years of having the pipeline effectively closed, where now they're going to open the pipeline. It's already open. So as a consequence of that, all the oil and gas companies that are there now, we expect them to now expand, bring in more cargo. So yeah, we're bullish on that.
And where might you look at next?
Oof, honestly, I'm a bit tired of the whole expansion thing, believe it or not.
Ready?
No, but we need to keep going, obviously. I'd like to stabilize a little bit more. I think the difference now is all of this has been organic so far. We've been hiring teams and sometimes you get it wrong, you have to change them and you move forward. But I think, touch wood, we're in a position now where we could do an acquisition of some sort. And I'd like to look at doing something like that, either in North America, probably Houston, or if not, potentially even Europe, acquiring a small, medium-sized forwarder with a good name and going forward with them.
There we go. So if anybody wants to sell, they know where to go.
Definitely, yeah.
And so talk a bit about Central Asia, where you see the opportunity there.
Yeah, well, the Central Asian governments are investing a lot more heavily into the countries these days, especially infrastructure projects, energy, renewables, that sort of thing. But more than that, I feel like they're very open to foreign companies. They're looking for companies to come in and it helps educate their younger people who get opportunities and things like that. As an example, in Kazakhstan, we're partnered with 2 universities, the University of Ataral. It's actually the Oil and Gas University of Ataral and the University of Yasenov. So we provide scholarships every year, about 3 or 4 students, and we take students on for internships, things like that. And yeah, as a result of that, you know, we learn a lot about the country. And yeah, also, since the countries are kind of positioned geographically in a very strategic place, right? To be able to get cargo over there, you have to go through many countries. And at the same time, you have the option of cargo coming from China into Europe through Central Asia, the middle corridor, which is also being developed at the moment. And it's a good alternative compared to sort of shipping all the way around through the Red and all of that, yeah.
And how competitive is it? And who's there? Are there smaller players or
There's a mixture. There's a lot of good local companies too. And the larger players are also there because the scale of the projects are large. You know, I would say it's much more competitive than Iraq has been in the past, Central Asia. But I think the countries are so massive by comparison. If you look at a map, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and yeah.
And being a Dubai-based company, how do you see the local market, and how different is that to some of the countries you've just talked about?
Yeah, very different. I'd say Dubai's logistics market, I think honestly part of the reason for our success was being born in Dubai, which is a very competitive market where I don't know how true these stats are, but people tell me there's 4,000 freight forwarders in Dubai alone, and it's super competitive. Everyone's undercutting each other. If you can survive in that market, then I feel like going to other markets, you have an edge. And aside from that, also, Dubai, everyone's moving there these days. So it's a very easy place to hire good people. And even if, someone's not in Dubai, it's very easy to move someone in compared to other countries, right? So you can get really good qualified staff over there as your base, which is one of the advantages. That's also infrastructure. Jebel Ali Port, Hamriyah Port, Khalifa Port, they're all there within an hour of each other. It's the airports as well. You've got Emirates Airlines flying from there for the air freight and every other carrier as well. Whereas when you go to other countries like Iraq, as an example, you don't have the same infrastructure, right? But so that becomes a challenge. Whereas in Dubai, the challenge isn't infrastructure. It's more about speed and efficiency. Whereas in Iraq, the challenge is more like infrastructure and customs and things like that. Yeah.
And how difficult or easy did you guys find it to break into the project cargo sector?
Again, I wouldn't say it was easy, but we did it. So it couldn't be that hard. Yeah. I always saw the project cargo sector, because I used to work in the UK. I always saw it as a very European dominant business. I don't know how true that is, but that's my perspective at least. And I always wondered, like, well, could an Indian-owned family business from Dubai really be here? Can we really be at the award ceremonies, and can we really be at the Breakbulk exhibitions? And then you can. So yeah.
So your father started it.
Yes.
What was the hardest part about getting the business off the ground?
Oof, you'd have to ask him that rather than me. I wasn't even born. But again, Dubai in 1987 is very different to the Dubai we know today, right? The infrastructure I'm talking about probably didn't exist there back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Jebel Ali Port definitely didn't exist back then. And also, I remember he told me that the company, people always ask why it's called Bluebell Shipping. Like, what does it mean? And we don't have an answer. The reason was back then the company had to be in Arabic. And he didn't speak Arabic. So he just got a random name in Arabic. It was like that for 10 years. Then one day they allowed English names, but it had to be a literal translation. So it translated to Bluebell Shipping.
Right.
Yeah.
The name stuck.
Yeah, the name stuck.
Yeah. So tell us how you got into the business then.
Right. So when I was 18, I went to uni in the UK. I studied my undergrad in biotechnology, but then master's in logistics. And then on my last day in the UK before my visa expired, I was fortunate to get the job with Transglobal Projects, TGP. That was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in terms of learning, and they're just great guys as well. I worked there for about 5 years, 2 years in the UK, 3 years in Australia with them as well. They moved me over.
Just up the road from my old house.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful part of the country as well, so green.
Yeah.
And then, that's how I got into project logistics. I attended my first Breakbulk exhibition with them, Breakbulk Europe. That was probably the turning point when I was like, wow, this is something unique. All these people you're emailing from all over the world kind of come together in one place.
Yeah.
And then, I really got the perfect skill set from them. Like I said earlier, they were expanding rapidly and still are. I think they must have opened like 10 offices while I was working for them. So I wasn't a part of it, but I kind of saw it. And I kept thinking like maybe we could do something on a smaller scale at Bluebell and things like that. Yeah, that's how I got into it. The plan was always to join Bluebell. I was transparent with them about it as well, but yeah.
And at some point, your dad said, "Come on, son."
Yeah, basically.
Hi, it's Aya Saeed here from Breakbulk. Thanks for checking out Voices of Breakbulk Middle East, our collaboration with PCP to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the event. For a decade, it's been the meeting point for companies driving the region's most ambitious developments, bringing together more than 10,500 industry professionals. We're looking forward to meeting everybody at Breakbulk Middle East, taking place at the Dubai World Trade Center on the 4th and 5th of February 2026. Don't forget, you can register online for your free ticket to attend. Enjoy the podcast and see you soon in Dubai.
This episode is brought to you in partnership with Hareket, proud sponsors of Voices of Breakbulk Middle East. Hareket has been moving the world's heaviest and most complex cargo since 1957, with a reputation for tailor-made engineering solutions. Headquartered in Turkey, they operate across 3 continents, with offices in 28 countries and a team of more than 1,000 specialists. Their work spans engineered heavy lift, project transport, cranes and marine services. supporting oil and gas, petrochemicals, power, renewables, nuclear and infrastructure. Hareket is consistently ranked amongst the world's largest crane and heavy transport companies, with more than 1,000 major projects completed worldwide and strong regional partners like Abu Dhabi ports. Find out more via the link in the description below. And a huge thank you to Hareket for supporting project cargo professionals.
And then you ended up in Australia too?
Yeah, with Transglobal. They moved me to Perth, so I worked there doing mining projects and stuff for them. Also a good part of the world to live in. Yeah, I miss it. I would move back.
Yeah. What's it like living in Dubai? I know lots of people are thinking about moving there at the moment. Like, how do you feel compared to
it's different.
Australia or Kent?
It's very different. For me, I was born in Dubai, which is quite a rarity. Most people sort of move there as an expat. So I kind of see myself as more of a local. But yeah, there's definitely a lot. It's the right place, I think, if you're ambitious and career driven and not too worried about a work-life balance. I wouldn't say, in my opinion, it's the best place maybe to have young children and have that nice family life and that kind of thing. That, you know, the kids, the dog, the park. But if you're trying to prioritize your career, and there's no income tax, obviously, it's a very good place to go. Yeah, a lot of funding available as well nowadays, you know. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the family dynamics now. Your dad's still running the business?
He might say that. He's semi-retired, but I would still say he's still running the business. He's been, for the last couple of years, kind of in and out of the office, but heavily involved. He's always been very sales focused. So yeah, I'm lucky to have him, really. I think the biggest advantage I have that he didn't have, I'd say, is that I have him, right? He was trying to run this business, build it blind, right? Whereas I have literally someone who's already done it.
Is there a bit of like friendly friction in terms of who gets to, you know, have the final say?
No. I mean, he gets the final say, of course. There's no friction. I mean, there's friction in terms of decisions and arguments, but there would have been that even without the business anyway.
Yeah. So what would your advice be to somebody else in the industry if they said, shall I join the family company or shall I join one of the bigger companies in the industry?
You mean
why?
Their own family company or someone else?
Their own.
Yeah.
Would you tell them to do it or would you tell them to go and work somewhere else?
I would say work somewhere else first and then join your family business so that you add some value and you don't just come in and have to be trained. You know, you bring in some of your own ideas and things like that. But then again, family business is interesting because it puts a strain on relationships, no matter how close you are. So that's something you have to consider. And in our case, the reason I think it worked, where I've seen others not work, is that my dad already being semi-retired meant there wasn't as much, you know, friction, like you said.
Yeah.
Whereas if he was still the main driving force for the business and I was trying to drive things too, I think it would be very difficult. Yeah.
And you guys were involved in the split-off vessel that was attacked, right? You had some cargo on that ship. Yeah,
we had chartered that vessel and sadly one crew member died, actually. I think it was attacked off the coast of Yemen. By a drone, I believe, right? The MV Minerva Gracht, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Not easy.
Yeah, no, not easy. But yeah, it's interesting because we were working on that shipment for about a year before. It's a super urgent shipment for our client in Australia and one of our first major projects in Australia too, as the office is relatively new. So it was very important we did a good job here. And we booked it last in, first out, paid a premium for it and everything, planned it for a year. We've been pushing the manufacturer and everything was set. Everything's going to go perfectly. And then 5 days before the vessel, or 10 days before the vessel was meant to arrive at Jebel Ali, the client actually sends me a link early in the morning at 6 a.m. saying, isn't this the same vessel? And I read that it had been attacked. And I replied straight away saying, unlikely. What are the chances? It's not us. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And then about an hour later, I got an email from Splitoff telling us that it was. And wow, that was crazy. Yeah. And sad as well. But then again, all the credit to Splitoff and Big Lift here. They were so professional. They probably could have exited the booking note with force majeure or something like that, but they didn't. They found another vessel within 2 days, which was already at Jebel Ali. They adhered to the booking note. The vessel came on time. As per the laycan didn't change. Obviously, no change to the rate or anything like that. And we delivered the cargo. Well, the cargo's still on the vessel now, so hopefully we'll continue to deliver the cargo successfully.
So they did the best they could in difficult circumstances.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know how many other carriers would have been able to do that. You know, you've got a couple of days till the laycan starts. Your vessel is suddenly attacked by a drone. You're evacuating the crew and simultaneously maintaining a contract with us for a very rare, last in, first out from Dubai to Australia is a long distance and you're foregoing a lot of cargo along the way, and they still adhered to it. So yeah, they deserve all the credit.
And tell us how you feel about the shipping lines in general now, because I read somewhere you were talking about shipping lines encroaching on Formulas business. other shipping lines that don't want to deal with forwarders. How do you see that now? And what do you feel about the future of the forwarding sector?
Yeah, it's challenging. I haven't heard as much these days about the shipping lines encroaching, but I think they're still doing it. I think it affects the general forwarder who's moving containers much more than it affects a project forwarder.
Yeah.
They would be the first guys to be losing business, I'd say. Because if you think about it from a general forwarder's perspective, their big clients would be someone with like a big manufacturing facility, let's say, I don't know, like an IKEA or something like that. And that facility is in the same place. So they're moving those containers from the same port to the same clients again, all over the world. It's the same trade lane. So why wouldn't a carrier say, look, we're already doing the ocean freight. We can put a few trucks on and just give you the door to door and then ship this stuff. So yeah. And also you see there's big retailers now like, you know, Walmart and Amazon who move more cargo than most logistics companies, right? So there's a risk of them encroaching as well, really. But for a project cargo thing, you think about it, a project goes for a couple of years, then the site completely changes. You're going to be doing something somewhere else. It's hard to adapt, especially if you consider, you know, we're doing this full time. All project forwarders are. For a carrier with all the other things they have to manage to then also be agile enough to do that, I don't know how effective they'd be. Yeah.
How worried are you about forwarders being squeezed out? Because there is a trend, isn't there? Clients going directly to shipping lines or the asset owners.
Yeah.
How concerned are you about that?
As a general forwarder, I would be concerned. As a project forwarder, I think we've got a few years left, at least. A couple more puffs in the cigarette or whatever.
And you know the value you can offer.
Yeah, exactly. We offer a lot of value and a lot of other services, you know, in-house transport engineering and things like that. Yeah.
Yep. And as we said, Voices of Breakbulk Middle East, we've got the event coming up, the 10th anniversary.
Yep.
Talk a bit about your involvement with the event, how that's been for you and what you've got out of it and how you've grown with the event.
Yeah. I love Breakbulk Middle East, really. I think I mentioned to you another time that I remember attending the event before we exhibited and thinking, oh, one day we'll be able to exhibit here. And then we started off with a very small stall with no furniture because we didn't know you needed furniture and it was just that bare bones basic stall. Every year it kind of got a bit bigger. Now I'm quite proud of our stall. It's very big, white sofas, little LED screen, things like that. We sponsor the event as well. And even that, the sponsorship packages, we've gone up and up over time. I think it's a very good opportunity to directly put yourself in front of decision makers and to build the brand, really. End of the day, you can only compete on price and value and brand. So, yeah.
It was a very busy event last time, wasn't it? It was really good, I thought.
And it's growing rapidly.
It is.
Year on year, it keeps growing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's still not quite there to Breakbulk Europe, but I think it will get there, yeah.
So when we talk to you at the 20th anniversary of Breakbulk Middle East, what do you hope has changed, both in the industry and for your company?
In the industry?
10 years' time.
Yeah. I mean, for the company, it's interesting. In the last 3 years, we've had revenue growth of over 500%. 3 years ago, we were only in Dubai. Now we're in 10 countries. So 10 years from now, based on that trajectory, I would like to think we could accelerate the growth further as well as with the acquisitions I was talking about too. So I think 10 years is more than enough time for us to be one of the major players in project logistics. That's the goal, really.
I was going to ask you, what's the future of Bluebell? So it's growth by acquisition?
The immediate future, growth by acquisition, but we're going to continue the organic growth in the background as well. I think that's the future, yeah.
And what do you like doing outside of work?
I go to the gym a lot. I'm really into martial arts. I've been doing Muay Thai for about 7 years, and I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu for the last couple of years too. I could try to compete 3 or 4 times a year as well. Unsuccessful in my competitions, unfortunately, but
You and your dad together, father and son competition?
No, you were asking me about Bluebell in 10 years. Ask me about my jiu-jitsu in 10 years. Maybe I'll win and have a black belt eventually, eh?
Adi, really interesting. Glad to see that you guys are doing well. Thanks for your time and look forward to seeing you at the event.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.